I've been in hundreds of Seattle homes over the past few years, and there are patterns, specific things that show up in listings that look totally fine on Zillow. And also, I would never let a client walk into without first knowing about. I'm going to share the most important ones with you today. If you're thinking of buying a home in Seattle in the next 6 to, let's say, 18 months, this video might save you from a very expensive mistake. Seattle is a city of microclimates and micro markets. I've seen identical houses, same square footage, same year built, same finishes, sell for an $80K difference from each other because of the actual street that they're on. What I look at before I look at the house is the street that it's on a cut through. Is there a lot of traffic going through there? Is there a bus route that runs directly in front? Is there a commercial property 2 doors down? Is it on a downhill side facing a neighbor who has maybe a 3-story addition coming up? These are all things that Zillow doesn't tell you, and it won't tell you until you're actually in the house. The listing photos won't show you this. You need to drive the street at 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. before you make an offer. I have a checklist I give every buyer I work with that covers exactly what to look for before falling in love with a house. It's in that relocation blueprint in the description, and you can grab it now. Seattle has a lot of charming older houses on the market. Craftsman bungalows from the 1920s, which are people's favorites, mid-century homes from the 50s that are gorgeous. They're all beautiful, and they come with systems that are often at or past the end of their life because they're a little bit older. A roof replacement in Seattle right now is anywhere from $20,000 to probably $40,000 depending on the pitch and the size of the roof. A full heating, ventilation, and air conditioning install is around $12,000 to $20,000 or more. A water heater can range anywhere from $1,000 to about $2,000. When I look at a listing, one of the first things I check is when was the roof replaced, if they're giving that information. When was the HVAC last serviced, if we know, and how old is the water heater. If a house has had deferred maintenance on all 3 of those, you're potentially looking at a $50K bill in work in just the first 3 years that you live there. Now, we don't always have this information right off the top, but we try to get it for you. This doesn't mean don't buy the house. It means you need to factor it into your offer price and your specific budget. A lot of out-of-state buyers don't know to ask for this in the preliminary disclosure and end up getting surprised at the inspection with the age of all these systems. If you're buying a condo or a townhome in Seattle, which is mostly what's available under around $700K inside the city, you're going to most likely have an HOA or homeowners association. Seattle HOA dues range from about $400 a month to a 1-bedroom to $900 per month depending on the building. And the quality of the HOA management varies wildly, let me tell you. I've seen buildings with healthy reserves and buildings that are one major repair away from a $15,000 special assessment for each unit. Before we go out looking at a property, any client of mine who offers on a condo, I request the HOA meeting minutes for the last 12 months. They're required to give us 2 years and the reserve study. Some of the red flags I look for are mentions of deferred maintenance, a reserve fund below 50 to 60% funded, or any litigation that's going on in the building. This is information you're legally entitled to as a buyer in Washington, and a lot of people don't know to ask for it. Now, getting HOA info can be tough, but we always try to get this information so you go in with your eyes wide open. This is Seattle specific, and most out-of-market buyers have never heard of it. Seattle has a significant number of older buildings, for sure, old multifamily buildings, apartment buildings, some condos that were built on what's called a soft story ground floor. So they're built on top of parking garages or commercial space on the bottom, and then they have residential on the top. These buildings have some known seismic compromises or vulnerabilities. And Seattle has been working on a mandatory retrofit program. Many buildings haven't completed it yet. So some of these buildings could be vulnerable to earthquakes. Some of these buildings have also been converted to condos and are on the market. And right here, I'm not saying don't ever buy one of these buildings. Some of them are really excellent and the retrofitting has been great. They give you excellent values and the proper work has been done. But you do need to know to ask, and you need to know where the building is in retrofitting before you buy it, or if the HOA carries earthquake insurance. This is one of those things that your agent should be flagging for you. And if you're not getting it unprompted, that's worth noting, and you might want to know that before you actually go into buying in that building. Let's Let's talk about what actually happens when you make an offer in Seattle right now. Because the process here has some quirks compared to other markets, this might be helpful if you're coming from out of state. Washington is an attorney review optional state, so most transactions are handled by escrow companies and no attorneys are involved. That's different from a lot of the East Coast markets where attorneys are at the closing table. Inspection contingencies are still common, and I always recommend an inspection no matter what. There was a period during peak COVID where buyers were waiving inspections to win offers, and we're mostly past that now, and also that was a big time when sellers were providing their own inspection. So if someone is pressuring you to waive your inspection contingency, I think that's a red flag, especially if you don't have a seller inspection and they're still pressuring you to waive that inspection contingency. The inspection contingency does give you significant flexibility in Washington. You're not just saying fix everything. You can negotiate a price reduction, a seller credit, or you can even walk away from the deal if the inspection reveals something that you don't like. So you do need to know your rights around this before you write your offer and know how the inspection plays in. Earnest money in Seattle typically runs anywhere from 3 to 5% of the total purchase price. So on an $800,000 home, that's anywhere from $24,000 all the way up to $40,000. And that money is at risk if you walk away outside of the contingency window. So understand what you're committing to and understand all of your contingencies. This is one thing I focus on nonstop with our clients, is knowing your contingencies and when they end. If you're looking for an agent who is going to give you this kind of information up front, not after you've already fallen in love with a house, that's exactly how I work with buyers. I do a free 30-minute Zoom consultation for people moving to Seattle. You can tell me where you're coming from, what you're looking for, what your budget is, and I'll give you a real picture of what that actually looks like here in Seattle. The free relocation blueprint is also in the description, and it covers a lot of the fundamentals we didn't have time to get to here. So subscribe if you want more of this. I give a new video every single week. I'm Brennan Claus from the Emerald Group at Real, and I'll see you next time.